Morning, everybody. John Spielke here with GAI Insights, bringing you the top news, rating it essential, important, or optional. We have Kevin Petrie from Bark. We have Paul Byer, my co-founder, and Adam Rappaport, another co-founder, as we are here working on everything from a new agent from OpenAI to some very interesting work at Bank of America driving AI and generative AI throughout the very interesting. So, all right, Adam, we have a first one here. We've got this is the OpenAI announcement.
ChatGPT agent. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. General purpose agent. ChatGPT. What do you think here?
I'm between important and essential, leaning towards essential because OpenAI is out front, and in some ways this is a catch up for them, right? I think Grok 4 and Claude 4 both have a lot of the very similar capabilities. There are some incremental increases, and out of the leader to at least be matching parity in terms of what this can do. And I'll say a little more about it, but it's definitely something people need to be aware of. The extent to which this is impacting enterprise right now, it's more just essential as everyone needs to be knowing about what's going on with the leading models coming out from OpenAI kind of news, specifically than that. This is so much more, but it's pretty powerful. They've actually had to do reinforcement learning and create a couple of new models to bring this new agent. I mean, for everyone's talking about agents. So for ChatGPT and OpenAI to come out with a feature called agent, you would expect that it can absolutely do tool use and be fairly capable. So it's definitely worth taking note of. I'd probably lean towards essential. It can properly make PowerPoints and edit them now, which required training of a new O3 model that we're actually seeing out in the web arena in the wild unofficially. And it's, I think, being called O3 Alpha. So keep an eye out for that. We'll probably have more about that on the news even tomorrow. That's sort of under the hood here, one of the developments that made this possible, because it has to be able to do a certain new capability to be able to properly edit PowerPoint documents. And it can actually spin up a computer of its own to use. It can do console commands. There's a lot of capabilities under the hood going on here. It's worth getting across everything that's being offered. You know, we see the claims it can book you tickets. We've been hearing those claims for 2 years, basically, that there are tools out that can do that. So I won't speak to the specifics of what they're promising here, but under the hood, there's a lot of tremendous development that's gone into this news.
Yeah, so boy, that sure sounds like essential to me, but what do you think here, Kevin?
You know, it's interesting. I was actually more on the optional side. I think that we've known agents are important for a long time. ChatGPT definitely is leading the charge on a lot of this innovation. But these things are still kind of kludgy, and prior releases from vendors of products like this have been kludgy. And I think that in a month or two, we might see that, okay, given adoption, given that there aren't major blowups, it is a big advance. One of the things that troubled me a little bit about the release right now is that I think that they said the performance benchmark was at about 40%. This particular article didn't talk about the methodology for that, but I think it showed that there's a long way to go when it comes to handling a breadth of different assistance tasks. So I viewed it as a product announcement. We know OpenAI is in front on a lot of innovation. We know that agents are important. We also know they have a long way to go, and we'll have to see what happens with adoption of this particular offering in the next couple of months. I
will counter, to be fair though, Kevin, you make some great points. Please. That it's scoring 40% on what's called humanity's last exam.
Yeah.
Right. This is one that until very recently, nothing could even get double digits on it. The intent was it would be hard for a while. Then someone, I think Gemini Pro scored in the 20s. And Grok 4 and now this new agent are both scoring in the 40s. So I know it's less than half on the hard test that's out there, but this is cross-discipline, PhD research plus level kind of questions across everything. And the fact that these are scoring in the 40s is unbelievable already.
So that's fair. I'm glad to hear Grok 4 is not passing given its behavior in the last couple weeks.
Oh, I think Grok 4 with the the 10 agents, the heavy, scored like a 46 or a 48% on HLE, which is pretty amazing.
So, Paul, where are you on this?
I'm with Ashish in our community here, essential as well, Ashish. So I think it's critical the AI leader understands where the boundary is a possibility. And we see that through what's shipping code at OpenAI. And that boundary continues to come in from what our expectation is. I think second point for essential is we're now doing executive and Gen AI training for 4 companies that have moved away from Microsoft Copilot to ChatGPT Teams or Enterprise for the employees here. And as soon as you start doing that, the employees want to start doing department level kind of activities with GPTs and that, and this fits right into that. So essential in my vote.
All right, essential it is. Here's the next one. Kevin, we're going to give this to you here. This is Claude Code Revenue, and very interesting. Claude has put together, Anthropic has put together a dashboard that's been requested by their customers to be able to note how a large development organization is using Claude's coding tools, Claude Code. And so really starting to instrument the value, and they're also trying to raise price because they believe they're adding tons of value. We have some stories coming up, case studies coming up that talk about the impact of software agents. So what do you think of this one, Kevin?
Yeah, very interesting article. I would rate it as important. I think that the fact that revenue is up 5x is great, but given the scale and the pace of adoption, especially for this particular use case, software programming, which is, from everything I see, the number one use case for Gen AI right now, that's not necessarily newsworthy or at least surprising. But the analytics dashboard, I love. I love the fact that they're showing different metrics for adoption. It's a little crude right now, at least some of the metrics that they describe on their site, but it also shows cost. So adopters can start to get a sense of the ROI for this. And that's absolutely critical because we've seen so many use cases and so many press releases talking about the top line benefits, talking about efficiency benefits, but they're not talking about other attendance costs. There are other implementation costs that this particular dashboard won't capture, but the more these vendors and tools can enable a meaningful ROI discussion, the better, because AI takes money to roll out and it needs to pay for itself. And it's on a broader economic scale, there's not evidence yet that in aggregate, US workers are becoming more productive per hour. In fact, it went down earlier this year. So we have some work to do on AI productivity and AI ROI, and I think this is a good step forward for that.
Yeah, I think on those productivity statistics, we have to be a little bit careful because we have to remember that the only way productivity shows up is if customers don't get the economic value, right? Because it shows through revenue. So if somebody cuts price because their costs are going down, that does not show up as productivity. And so and we'll see later, Bank of America is doing many more assets with about a little more than 2/3 of the people they had a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And so the productivity number may be lost in price competition out in the marketplace. And people are getting. Is Google Mail, which you get for free, better than the U.S. mail? I think so. That is a net decrease in productivity because that revenue is now being given away to the end customer. So we got to be a little careful on all this stuff as especially as we automate professional work, because we may just pay less as customers, and that looks like less productivity. Anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you're right. And so productivity, I was changing channels a little bit to talk about the broader economy and the value of the value delivered per worker hour in the U.S. economy not going up, in fact, going down a little bit last quarter.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, that the productivity statistics do not measure quality or consumer surplus.
Yes, so the value of your iPhone could, and that's fair, especially with technology.
Yeah, absolutely, because we bits. What do you think here, Adam? Important, essential, optional? Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin, where'd you land as important?
Important, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd support important. I think it's what it's emphasizing, of course, is that Claude's doing something very self-serving, but also very smart for their customers to enable them in this way and to give them that ROI and the ammunition they need to be able to justify this. At the same time, more broadly, even if you're implementing Copilot, it's important to understand that if you don't instrument to measure your ROI, you're not going to have it. And just how the importance of these sort of analytics and these sorts of insights into how you can actually measure that. So important for me.
Paul?
You're on mute.
You're on mute, buddy.
Sorry, I'm totally on the other end, totally optional. This is an incremental feature for an installed base of, oh, by the way, here's a dashboard of stuff that's going in a database here. And I don't know what an AI leader would do with this information here, and dashboards aren't innovative. And we all know that code editing is a killer app. So I don't want the AI leaders to spend a minute on this.
John, he's talked me out of it. I'm an optional.
He talked me out of it too. All right. I'm sorry, Kevin. Optional it is.
I'm so important, but good.
All right. Let's get to the next one here, which is Accenture and their video analysis. This thing, I think it's really pretty kind of cool. Early in my life, I actually thought about being a filmmaker and I actually did film editing when with those the tables and the tape and all that other stuff. Anyway, this thing is amazing. So what it does is it allows you to take any piece of video. Let's see down here, and there's 3 agents here that work to process it and then look at the quality of it and then review it. So you can feed it, you can feed it a hunk of video, and it will then pull out what looks like the most. Here comes Windy like a cat chasing a lazy. So this is a synthetic video that was fed to it, and it pulls out. You can tell it how long you want the clip to be, like a minute or whatever. And then it does a great job of, like a lot of these AWS cases, great job of laying out how they do it. I was going to give this somewhere between an important and essential. I'll tell you why, because I think that we are going to a post-word-based literacy. That short-form video is growing like crazy. The whole notion of being able to compute what makes a good short clip and then to be able to have it automatically get refined, and then in these interactive environments, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube Shorts, and so forth. There's such a wealth of data to have a computational model of what makes for a viral video, and that viral video is so important. And coming out of Accenture here, I think is very interesting because it's gonna. I think this is the future of a lot of content. Is short form video, compressed video, faceted video. It's just, and we see it in the statistics. So I'm leaning toward essential in this thing. But what do you think here, Kevin?
I agree with essential. I think that I struggle with it. We have 3 boys aged 12 to 18, and they're obsessed with videos. And I think the rising generation of knowledge workers views video as, for better or worse, their lingua franca. It breaks my heart as a lifelong bookworm, but it's becoming a way in which professionals and students speak with each other and live and work. And so the more you can do that economically, the more you can democratize video production, the better. So I would go essential.
What do you think here, Paul?
I think Johnny made a strong case for the category of videos, but this particular article I think is important but not essential a use case. So important. I do like your term post-text world. I do believe that is what the generation of Kevin's kids are demanding, and many companies are starting to figure out it's a post-text world even in B2B marketing.
Adam?
Yeah, I think I was important. It really does highlight a fairly straightforward agent framework to capture the idea of, you sort of workshop the idea with one agent, and then this other agent puts the videos together, and this last one reviews it and makes sure that it's done the right thing and does go deep under the hood in terms of how it's put together. But most enterprises are not really in a place where this would be much more than academic to them, though, at this point. So that's probably important.
And as a guy used to run marketing at PwC, I disagree. There's so many videos we would use this on in a heartbeat. I mean, you have
I'd wait and see how good it actually works. There's even in some of the little demos I saw there, I wasn't totally convinced that it's what they're showing you on the brochure is quite what's being promised is what's being delivered.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to go essential in this one for my love of video. All right. So we're gonna go for that. We got Bank of America here. Bank of America, amazing. Brian Moynihan, amazingly, holding on there. Been a CEO through a lot of craziness at B of A. But obviously this massive organization, a SIFI, one of these ones that can't, thanks to our idiotic banking policy, we have to worry about them going down or not. But anyway, they've taken AI throughout the organization here. They are claiming that they're getting a lot of productivity. And if you just look at the gross statistics right here, 15 years ago, the company had a headcount of 300,000. They have 212,000 people now. Deposits have gone from 400 billion to 900 billion. So as a measure of activity, that's what we were talking about before about productivity. That's a big number from 300 to 212. So what do you think here, Kevin?
Yeah, I like your summary. I think those are the key points. There's also similarly directional guidance from the CEO of Goldman Sachs. And I think BNY also had some data points that were valuable for this. I'd say it's important. It's important for people, for AI leaders to understand that the adoption is continuing. There's rising evidence that a broad swath of the economy large companies can have programmers gaining real efficiency. The ROI is still tricky to measure and will still take some time. And there was an executive quote to that effect in the article. But it's important to note that companies are doubling down. They are seeing benefits. And the notion of software programming as a top use case for Gen AI is applicable to a lot of companies outside the software sector. So I would say important.
All right. And then we've got, what do you think here, Paul?
Important. Important, not essential. That was important. I was just sensitive to time.
Adam?
I think we're fine for time, and I'll make a case for essential. And it's really one line
Always
there.
disagreeing. We love it.
only one line there. First of all, it also goes into Wells Fargo in detail. I mean, just the number of like high visibility logos that you can point to here alone is a reason that someone should clip this into. But in the part at Bank of America near the beginning, it's talking about how they set aside a quarter of their $13 billion budget for new technologies, and that they continue to see the benefits of long-term investment in technology capabilities, digitization, machine learning, and now AI practices. I think companies need to get the message that you can't insist on ROI in day one or even potentially year one. You need to start carving out a significant investment for this stuff. Like that's essential message that needs to get through. And the fact that the largest banks like that are all in this one article are all very clearly moving that direction should be the kind of ammunition every leader needs to get budget, right? And to be able to argue for budget.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, also it's a vindication of our WINS framework. I mean, here we have a company that's in the crucible, right? High words, images, numbers, and sounds, high digitization. Fundamentally, and as you say, the market leaders, these are the elephants, they're dinosaurs, or however you want to think about them. Anyway, essential it is. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see. Stop sharing this bad boy. Stop. Okay, and let's go to our next article, which is. Oh, I love this one. This is Stanford's Marin Foundation going super open. Yeah, baby. And I'm all for, I think the open source thing, given the power of AI, the open source thing is going to be so important for all kinds of things, learning, our liberty, like the whole routine. So Marin Foundation, lovely little graphic here, talks about different levels of openness: open development, open source, open weight, closed source, and then goes through these 5 factors and examples: source code, model weights, training data, development process, licensing. I love this little chart. They're completely open, and they're sharing also, interesting here, what they failed and what they did well with. So, I was on this one. I don't know. I definitely have this as important. I know I'm going to get shot down if I do this as essential, but the reason I often ask the question, who's the Ben Franklin of this? And the reason I raised Ben Franklin is, with Ben Franklin, he was the person who created the public library system in the United States. And so these people are the Ben Franklin, right, if you will, right? They are trying to create capability for the citizenry and learners. And, I haven't had time to look at who is behind them, but boy, this is just such an important thing. And their core focus is the advancement of science. And I do think there's some other stuff that I'm involved in, and there's whole new branches of mathematics that are getting discovered here, through these models. And, what we're going to be able to do with science is fantastic. And if that's all captured by corporations and not part of the public good, I think that's a bad day for humanity and certainly for the United States. So I think this is incredibly important, fantastic. I'm glad that, Google's in the middle of this, even though they are a rapacious, capitalist organization. They are investing some in the public good here, which is, I think, a good thing. So I was going to give this important. What do you think there, Kevin?
John, I thought you made a great case for essential. You actually made very similar points as what I was going to say. I would recommend that AI leaders print out, if we still use printed paper, that table and put it on their wall. It's a great cheat sheet for so many to filter and keep these vendors honest when they say they're open. Let's look at what open really can mean and what they really are. This was the most granular definition of model openness I've seen. I like it. I like it that they're holding the guerrilla vendors their feet to the fire in terms of what's really open and what's not. So I think it's a really important it's an important tool and resource for AI leaders. I'd say essential.
All right, we got to vote for essential here. What do you think, Adam?
No way, it's essential. This table is cool. I think, John, just the other night we were talking about, something that was open source, and what's that mean, and how open really was it? And I think this is a really nice, clean way to do it, to say open development is that really, really open versus open source, open weight, and then closed. So I love what they've done here. I agree, Kevin. If you maybe buy a special tablet and just have this on it if you can't print stuff out anymore at the office, right? But have this up and refer to it. But how often are you encountering new vendors and having to hold them to the fire? Or really, this is not an essential thing day to day for an AI leader to be using or understanding. But a great this table alone, I think, makes it an important piece of news. On top of, to be fair, we may look back and say, wow, the missteps from Meta with Llama were absolutely cleaned up by Google with Marin, right? Because this is their basically their foray into that same space. So it's and even more open. So it's really cool stuff, but probably essential, important, not essential news.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm optional. It's important. I can support important here.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be optional. All right. I'm going to resist my darker urges. We'll make this important. Okay. And then we have our friends at Arbix. At the archive. We have our friends from Carnegie Mellon.
While you looked it up, John, Kevin, there's a really good grid. I can't remember who did it. I know it was which firm did it. It's got about 30 different dimensions on open source and about 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the best one. We reviewed it a year or so ago, and
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Is that part of your news summary? It was one of the daily items. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was. So here we have the Language Technology Institute at Carnegie Mellon. I went to the paper underneath the short article here. And it basically is coming together with what they call a distilled dual strategy reasoning to have a kind of a hybrid tutor that looks at a combination of tools and planning and looking at, again, research paper available now. So what do you think, curate?
Probably optional news. It is research, but it is fascinating, and I think it's actually quite a significant step forward. As we've talked about, John, we were talking before the show tonight about underestimating test time intelligence as opposed to the training time intelligence, right? And that reasoning. And this is almost like a next level to that, which is having multiple teachers to create that model in the first place, and to not rely on just a tool use or a reasoning model, but to have a model that's trained on both, but also the understanding of when a tool or a reasoning approach is the better approach. And I can see over time that then, like, they call this dual distill, but you'll probably just have multiple distillations, multiple teachers training a model, and it'll know which of those teachers was the right one to listen to given the scenario. And it's sort of a whole nother layer of abstraction to the intelligence. So it's super, super fascinating, but probably optional for the AI leader.
Yeah, well, kind of similar to the dialogue we gave yesterday. We gave an essential to the modeling of the student in terms of, the user in terms of dialogue management. And here we are, as you say, the different kinds of teachers and our ability to go meta on not the company, but the idea on this. What do you think here, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it is fascinating. I think it's a well done article. I didn't see a lot of direct relevance for the AI leader right now trying to craft a strategy. So I would go optional.
Yeah, I think Paul's going to make the case for essential, right, Paul?
No, you read my mind well, John. We've done 350 shows, and we kind of know each other's ratings coming out.
All right. So Paul's going optional. I'm going optional. Optional it is. Useful for the curious reader. Okay. But it's not optional. We should have an optional with prejudice or something like that. It's not optional with optional with prejudice.
Extreme optional.
No bother.
Extreme prejudice. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. Adam's got the total here. So we have three essentials.
Three essentials.
3 essentials, 2 optionals, 1 important. Ending the day with a lot going on here, and it's not great inflation for those of you. We're not tiring. Our mental acuity is not weakening over time. This is the fact that it's a busy news day. All right, there we have it. Any Paul, you have announcements for our Monday Learning Lab?
Yeah, Monday's Learning Lab, we are going to be reviewing Gen 101 training for executives and employees. We're going to walk through what we've been doing, get good feedback for, and get some feedback. So if you're one of the many companies now, they're rolling this out. Join us and see what we do and share best practices.
Excellent. And Kevin, any news in your life or professional life or at Bark?
Yeah, things are good here. Sorry, I had a slamming door in the background. I'm partnering with Merv Adrian, ex-Gartner guru, to build a report on adoption trends for unstructured data, support AI innovation. It should be very interesting to parse what's happening there. That's the majority of data within enterprises. I'd argue that's where some of the highest proprietary value resides. So it should be interesting.
Absolutely. Adam, any news?
Just keep an eye out for O3 Alpha. I hear it's one-shotting, 3D Minecraft. So it sounds like a pretty powerful new model from OpenAI that's currently starting to surface.
Awesome. All right, everybody. See you later. Have a great AI weekend, and hope to see you on Monday in Weather Learning Lab. Bye-bye now.
Thank you all.